Hi everyone, just a quick video on rotor thicknesses or brake disc thicknesses. When you wear your brake pads, it also wears out the disc. The disc wears at different rates at different distances from the center, so it will get thinner towards the edge of the disc than the center of the disc. Because it's traveling faster, it has a greater circumference, it wears out quicker. So I've looked up for this BMW what the minimum thicknesses are, and I've got them written down on this piece of paper from a website. Apparently they're also stamped on the rotor or the disc, so I will have a look for that, but I thought I'd show you what I'm doing. Now bear in mind with this, if a set of pads wears the disc down and the pads are worn out, as is the case on this car, and I'm going to put new pads on it, if I then replace the pads and it continues to wear the disc could then go beyond its recommended minimum, and that's not advisable. You can get overheating and irregular braking, and potentially the discs will be too weak as well. So best to keep them within spec. So if you're going to replace the pads and not replace the disc, you really need to make sure there's a fair amount of disc wear still available. Otherwise you'll need to be checking at intervals that the discs aren't worn out, and that potentially means changing the discs when you've got a set of pads that are bedded into the discs. Bedding pads into discs takes time, and the braking is less good while you do it. That's another point actually. If you're putting new pads on old discs, they do take longer to bed in than new pads on new discs, because the discs are not flat and the pads are, so you have to wear out bits of the pad to bed them in first. So there's a lot going for replacing the pads and the discs at the same time, but if you're a bit of a cheapskate, or you think actually discs don't wear out for multiple brake pad replacements, then you might want to check them, as I am now. So we'll do that. First things first, put it on a jack, ideally on an axle stand, which I've not done today, and take the wheel off. Undoing the nuts first, of course, or wheel bolts, as the case may be. Now, come with me. Now, what you'll see here is this disc. Obviously it looks flat across here, but it may not be. Now the pads you can see are wearing down. There's only sort of 3mm or so left on those. We've got a brake wear indicator coming up. So what I'm going to do is put my vernier caliper just across the top of this disc here and measure it. Now you can see actually there's a bit of a flange on the top of this disc which is stopping it from reading accurately. So I may need to file this down. In fact, I will need to file this down if I'm going to get a more accurate reading than the one I'm currently getting. Because that isn't so good. And I can read that off, and it's telling me it's reading about 20, 21 and 21.4, I think that we're getting on there. And on the rear it says the minimum is 20.5 on my stats there, but it started at 21.9 according to the piece of paper. So actually 21.4 isn't very worn at all, but I can see this ridge on here. So I'm going to, maybe I'll get a file and see if I can take that ridge off. Let's do that. Stick with me on this, I'm not going to edit it. It's a single shot video, so we're going to get a file. Ooh, back door's open. Tea. Thank you. Cup of tea. I'm going to get a file. Do you want me to take that on my way back? And I'm doing a video. Funny face looking at me there. Taking the bin, getting a file, getting a cup of tea. Oh, what a crazy world this is. File. There we go. Obviously I don't want to make that rotor arm unbalanced. Rotor or disc unbalanced. But I do want to take that little bit of edge off, so we'll do that. Let's have a go. Starting to rain, of course. Always away. There's quite an edge in there. Right, back to the caliper. Now, I can see on this caliper we're down to 20.7. 20.7, that's a big difference from where we were. Move it around. Yeah, it's 20.7, and I'm not convinced that I've taken all of that flange. Now 20.7, if my sheet is to be believed that I've printed out here, and we got 20.5 as a minimum on this sheet, I think we might already be down to 20.5. Now if we're looking for it stamped on the rotor arm, that was the other thing I was told. Can we see on the rotor arm where it's stamped? Rotor arm. It's a rotor, sorry, I keep saying rotor arm. Rotor, brake disc. It's called a rotor in America. It's called a brake disc in the UK. I cannot see anything on there at all. Where else it would be on there? Well, maybe one of you guys can tell me where it's stamped. But that's where I checked it, where you can get at it. Have a look at your own. I'm going to order some new ones. In fact, before I do, I'm going to check the front ones as well, because I know that those are running low too. But yeah, don't mess about with brakes. They're quite important. If they need changing, change them. I'm going to change these. Thanks for watching, and subscribe if you like the video. Have a good one. Take care, guys.